So when we talk about being connected with our kids, we're talking a lot about attunement. And just like you attune or tune an instrument, when parents can attune to their children and be connected with what they're experiencing emotionally, then it helps children feel seen and heard and understood. And I often teach parents an acronym called MUSH. So especially when you're having a conflict with your kids, that if you meet them where they are, which is the M, so you meet them in the emotion that they're experiencing. It doesn't mean you have to take on the emotion, but you're meeting them in it, that you're communicating that you understand. And understanding doesn't necessarily mean agreement. It just means that you understand. I understand you're really upset that you can't have a cookie right now. And the S is that you communicate that you really see them. I really see how upset this has made you. And then the H is I really hear you. I really hear what you're saying to me. And what I say is if you do the mush, then you don't have to do the mushy with the Y. You can do it without yelling. So it's a great way to get children to listen and cooperate and to feel really understood in a very gentle, kind, loving manner. And that's all part of being attuned and connected to our children. And the other thing I would say about connection is I talk to parents about how if our connection is only a string, like a sewing thread, that can easily be broken. So what we want to try and what I'm trying to help parents do is to build a cable that has lots of wires, lots of different connections that make it strong. So if there is conflict, it does get some pressure on it, that it doesn't easily break, that they know we're their safety net. And that we're not, just because we're angry doesn't mean we're going to leave or that we're going to abandon or throw them away.
I often think about being connected to our kids a lot of times very similar to how when we're in self and we're connected to our own parts. I sense when we're connected to our kids, to me it feels like we get into a space where we actually see their being. And you could feel what they're feeling. You're, just like we talk about being in self, we're curious about them. And what I notice is their parts are able to relax, and then they're able to be fully in self because they're not feeling judgment, they're not feeling criticism, they're not having to please me as a parent. They just feel like you are a being here that just loves me no matter how I am or who I am. And what I notice is then they're able to feel that safety to just link at a heart level. And when you feel that, it's just, it's just almost like the most blissful thing on the planet, So yeah, I think the connection, and that goes from infancy where it's just like a feeling you could feel, all the way through teenage years where they feel comfortable enough to say, I'm going to tell you about my life, because they feel like this non-judgment, like if there's no one else on the planet, I'm a person who will be here and love you no matter what. It's almost like a highest level of our being and being alive. When we're connected with our kids, I just sense, I don't know if I want to call it magic or some other thing. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, except I guess the important thing is to, if we're with our kids and we don't feel like we're seeing them, like we could check ourselves and say, am I really seeing you? Am I really feeling what you're feeling? Am I getting you? Or am I trying to teach you? Do I have an agenda? Am I trying to make you better? Am I trying to take your pain away? I notice when we're trying to do something, we're not fully connected and they sense it. And oftentimes they'll nod and yes, thank you, Father. But when we're just saying, I'm just going to be here for you and see you and be curious about what you're feeling, then you see them just meet you at the connection, and they're able to speak from the most vulnerable places, knowing that you're not going to judge them and you're open to whatever they have to bring. And to me, that's the most beautiful thing about being a parent, is that they know there's somebody. When you can have that level of connection, it's like, I'm truly not alone on this planet. And that connection and that level of togetherness gives me the ability to take foot into the world, to take risk, and to say I'm going to try something new because I have a base that I could always fall back to if that doesn't work. My self-worth is not reliant on this. I have love and I have connection. And I notice when we work with our parts and we work with our clients' parts, that's what all the parts want. They want to be seen by self. They want to be loved by self. They want to be held by self. And no matter what they're doing or who they are or how firefighter they are, whatever it is, when they feel that, then they soften and they're happy. They just are content. So I think in the child, our role as parent is that we have an abstract mind to know and to have metacognition, to be able to think about what we're doing. And we should monitor, are we connected, are we not? Have your own litmus test. Do I have this connection? Because for a child, they're not going to be able to think, and it's not their responsibility to make the connection. And if we are not connected, in that feeling of, I might not be worthy, protectors start coming up that says, I'm going to be annoyed with my dad, or I'm going to just go to my room right after dinner, or I'm going to go, whatever, it's fine, because I don't want to step closer to you because I'm afraid that you're not going to connect. And I don't think it's conscious, but so when my own children, I feel disconnect, I realize I need to show those parts like I'm here no matter what you do. So you could tell me, I don't want to be with you right now. You can give me those faces. And I could get hurt and be in parts, and then there's further disconnection. Or I could say, yeah, I get it, I'm here. Like, you can't make me not love you. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm right here. And those kind of things for kids, like it's good to honor their feelings. Say, I see that you're upset right now. I see you're feeling maybe you don't want to talk right now. But I just want you to know, whenever you're ready, let me know, because I'm here. Like I mentioned before, like when you're not in self, and you can say to your child, right now, like, I have a part that's getting frustrated. And I found children really respond well to that. Like if you're trying to cook dinner and they're doing things that are disrupting you from cooking dinner, which could happen, and you're feeling frustrated, you might let frustration talk. And you might say, will you get out of here? I'm trying to cook. Or every time I tell you, and that's like a shame, it's a criticism. But if you say, first ideally you can say a positive message, like, could you please play in the other room? I need space for cooking. And if they don't, and you start feeling frustration, just to name that part, say, I could feel a part of me that's getting frustrated and it's kind of building. And I've said this to my kids, like, I feel it building and I don't want it to keep building because I'm afraid that if it does keep building, I might get angry, and I'll have a part that gets angry and I don't like when I do because sometimes I say bad things. So could you please listen to me and go play in the other room or nearby, because I need this space because I'm afraid I'm going to burn you. I'm afraid I'm going to step on you. And I don't want my frustration parts to build. So is that okay? And I find them go, oh yeah. Like, I'm being real with you.
I think, again, staying connected with our kids throughout our lifetime is about really staying in conversation and being aware of our own parts. And, one of the ways I think that children can get pushed away or disconnect from their parents is when we insert ourselves in times that aren't appropriate. And trusting that our children have the internal resources and the knowledge, and that we can just support them, that we don't have to tell them what to do, that we can help them uncover those internal resources that they have by just supporting them, speaking for our parts, helping them speak for theirs. And I think that helps keep the connection and makes it, a more amicable connection with our kids.
Mm-hmm. So I think my core answer is just day by day. Letting our children know they are unconditionally ours. And so we will always be with them. I recently heard this phrase of, me being your parent means you have a lifetime guarantee of love. And I loved that because it was just, I might not like the behavior you're showing me, you might be far away, you might be annoyed with me, but my presence will always be here. My love will always be here. And so that the idea of a lifetime of connection for me feels like it's a minute by minute, day by day, fully embracing I am human and I have parts and I'm going to mess up. And then I will come to you and ask for the repair. And when you mess up, you can come to me and ask for the repair. And that will always stay present. So I want to have a formula for it, but it's really just showing up every day and loving them.
For me, staying connected to my child has meant staying connected to myself and knowing what the heck is going on in me, even when I don't know, being curious about that. I think that's why I'm such a proponent of therapy. And I know that there's a huge stigma for us, for a lot of different cultures around mental health and therapy. And a lot of people don't think of parenting and therapy in the same sentence. They don't see therapists as someone you can go and talk to about your stressors related to parenting. And a lot of my work experience with the military and with the Black community has been getting people to see how your own patterns impact your children. And that's parenting. So I think it's really important to consider all your resources. Like social support is big. Like I said, talking about the village, who's in your village. Is it a healthy village? Because some of us got some folks in our village that are unhealthy, that maybe we share the same DNA with. So knowing how that village is impacting your child and making sure it's a healthy village. And then bringing in some other resources that maybe you wouldn't normally consider, like a therapist or like your school counselor. Whatever other resources or things that you might need to really adapt this village into something that's grooming and helping your child thrive. So for me, like I said, I'm in therapy. I'm a therapist who firmly believes in therapy. I'm very vocal about it with my child. And I also will be very open with him about what I'm learning about myself. So self-awareness, just letting him know, I noticed that today when mommy woke up, there was part of me that didn't want to get out of bed, and she was really tired because of her thyroid disorder. And she also worried about how you felt around that. And, when I was talking to my therapist, they thought that maybe, I was having a little guilt. And we know that guilt is kind of not so helpful. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think about mommy being in bed this morning? So just having really open conversations to really foster his own emotional, support and growth.
Yeah, so staying connected through our lifetime goes back to always trying our best to be as self as possible when we're with our kids, and to continue to give that message of I see you, I get you, I want to be in your life. And those messages come when we're not offering critical suggestions, when we're not saying, oh, you really need to change your job, you really need to, you're in this relationship with this person, I just don't approve. All of those things that we can continue to do on an adult level is still constant criticism. So just the same way we would work with an infant or a toddler or a preschooler, it doesn't matter how big you get, your child needs you to say, I see you, it makes sense what you're feeling right now. How can I support you in that? I have thoughts. Would you like to hear my suggestions? I mean, if you're open to it, I'd be happy to share, but it's up to you. Or do you need me? Like, do you want to come home? Do you want me to come there? What do you need? I'm here. When I was a preschool teacher, it just kind of hit me one day in a conference. I said, there's like 2 ways to love your children, like one like this and one like this. Because in this, we're letting them explore and we're not holding them too tight. But in this, there's still a heart connection that is almost like a heart umbilical cord that never ceases, it always stays. So even as we have to do this and let them go into the world, that's an expression of love, that we trust you and we trust your abilities, that there's still a constant heart connection that says, I am always your dad. I'm always your daddy if you need that. I'm always here for you. And you can never be in a place as I'm on this planet where you're going to lack love because I'm here. And if they sense that, it continues that base of attachment that doesn't matter what I'm doing, if I fall, at least I know there's one or two people on this planet that the love can't be destroyed. It's just, it's truly unconditional. And I think for me, and what that does is, if I'm in self with my child, and that's why I love the term self-led parenting, because the qualities of self is like, I'm curious, I'm playful, I'm persistent, I'm interested, I'm calm. But that curiosity to me is what really forms the bond with children, because as they're sharing their life with you and you're curious about it, you're going to ask questions, you're going to want to know more. When you're curious, you're not judgmental. So if I could just remain curious, like I always tell parents who are learning this for the first time, if you just can be curious about your child, like what is happening inside my child? What is the need that's being expressed instead of the behavior? What does my adult child need? What are they going through? What could have happened to make them feel this way or to be acting this way? And also, this last story, Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist who's on his deathbed right now, he wrote in Being Peace, his book, that when we plant a tree, and if over the time it starts dropping leaves and acting sick or something, we do everything we can to nurture the tree to bring it back to health. Like it's almost misbehaving, it's not doing what it should do. And we nurture and we nurture, we nurture. But so often with our children, when they start showing signs of not being healthy or mind healthy or acting out, we blame them. Instead of thinking, what can I do to nurture this child just as I would nurture a tree and help bring them back to a healthy place. So throughout the lifespan of having a child, our role is to provide as much nurturance as we can to create a healthy base for this child to absorb this acceptance and love so that they can flourish. And so instead of looking to them like, what are they doing wrong? What other choices they could be making? What can I do to support this child? Knowing that they're still going to make bad choices. They're still going to screw up. But it's in those bad choices and screw-ups where they need somebody in the world to say, I'm still here. I'm still here. Like, you can't make me go away.